so sound. I'll find valid in your eyes. You'll always be my night sky.
What is up, guys? Welcome to Diggity, a video game podcast. I'm Jeff James. As always with me, the incredible, unobtainable, luscious Brody Fultz. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. Happy to be back. It feels weird. Whenever we take a week off, it just messes with me.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Definitely coming back
is.
here. And weirder that it's just us. You know?
Yeah, because we had the week before we were off. I mean, we had WASD guys on here with us just constantly. So it is very bizarre. It's almost like a piece of us is missing.
Don't say that. Now they're going to be like, oh. Nick's just like that.
Nick's
just like
waiting in the car. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Oh man, I'm good. I'm just busy. I mean,
Yeah.
we're getting close to 4th of July, right? So we're right around the corner from that, and just trying to wrap everything up at work and kind of get everything kind of situated. And then, yeah, like, I mean, when you do these things like every week and then there's a break or a holiday or we take a week off, which, I mean, we should. I mean, it makes sense, right? Just for burnout purposes and shit like that. But like, it's always when you come back to it, you're like, oh boy, I forgot I have to do this thing, or like, oh, I forgot this aspect of the show, or oh yeah, I have to do that. I mean, and even if you make a list, like have a little checklist of like stuff, still doesn't matter.
Sitting down to write show notes was very bizarre.
Oh, I bet.
Like, I haven't done this for pretty much a month because I was on vacation, and then we had all the E3 stuff, and then we take a week off, and I haven't done show notes for like a month now. It's crazy.
Jesus. It's crazy.
Ugh.
It's crazy. Anyways, guys, if this is your first time listening or watching the show, welcome. We are Diggity. We do a video game podcast every single week where we recap on the week's gaming news. We give reviews. We're pretty blunt people. Tell how like it is, and we don't do clickbait, my guys. So yeah, we're already better than I'd say 80% of video game journalism. So there's that plus. Yeah. But anyways, you can listen to us on any major podcast platform. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube. We go live every Thursday night around 9:30 Eastern time on YouTube and Twitch. And the audio version of the podcast is available every morning at a very early time, otherwise known as the butt crack of dawn, on Fridays.
I shouldn't have said anything because now it makes it into every episode. I love it.
But yeah, anyways, so we've been doing this for a long time. Obviously, it's episode 213, but it's good to be back in the saddle.
Yeah.
I love that. And I guess with that, hell, dude, let's get into kind of what we've been playing. It's a lot, but let's get into it, right?
So I've really probably only played about 4 things. So I've played a pretty good chunk of Mario Golf. I've barely scratched the surface of Scarlet Nexus. I've platinumed Ratchet and Clank.
Let's go, baby.
And I played like 4 hours of Rocket League last night.
Jesus.
And that's, I was playing well, so I had to keep playing. I mean, when you're hot, right? So I had to keep playing while I could still rank up before the next time I go to play and absolutely bring myself back down a division or two. But yeah, I mean, Ratchet and Clank has really taken up a lot of my time, and then Mario Golf is kind of also consuming a decent chunk of time here. So how about you? What have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot as well. So, I mean, I guess if we go down the whole like line of it, played Overwatch, like a good amount of Overwatch.
We did do that too.
We did, yeah. I've played.
I always forget the games we play together.
Oh my god, bro! I know. Well, I mean, this is 2 weeks of games.
Yeah,
they've been playing. Yeah, so Overwatch. We've played Zombies a little bit, not a lot, but we played a little bit of that. And then we got absolutely wiped. We played, or I'm trying to think about what else we all played together. We tried Squadrons.
We tried Squadrons, yeah.
Didn't really care for that one, but whatever. It is what it is. And then I played some Ratchet and Clank. I have not beat Ratchet and Clank. I wanted to, but I have not. There's been some developments in my life that are good developments. Actually, I didn't get to talk to you about it before the show. I'll talk after. But they've taken a lot of my time this week, which is crazy. But I did get
stupid life getting in the way of playing video games.
I know. But to be honest with you, though, I actually kind of, for the review, I think it'll be nice to have like two perspectives of like me, who's like a good chunk into it, and then you, who's like completed it and then platted it above all else, right? But I got a good amount of hours into Mario Golf Super Rush, so I've done quite a fair bit of that, quite a fair bit of the story mode. I've played all the game modes, and I directed a lot of time to that. So
yeah, we kind of flip-flopped on that. You put more time into Mario Golf than I have, but I put more time into Ratchet and Clank.
Which works out.
It'll be good. Yeah. It'll kind of be some crisscross reviews here, so it'll work out.
So there's that, and then I played a little bit of League of Legends as well. And I guess I played some City Skylines. Holy shit.
And
played a lot of stuff.
All over the place, yeah.
Yeah. So, God, I love City Skylines. It's so good. Ooh. Anyways, moving on before we go into news, do you want to hit us with the upcoming releases, and then we can get on into the news?
Yes, sir. So July 6th, Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Night is coming to PS5 and PS4. A Plague Tale Innocence is coming to PS5, Xbox Series X, and Nintendo Switch via the cloud. Watch Legion Bloodline DLC is coming to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, and Xbox One. On July 7th, Fallout 76 Steel Rain update is coming to PC, PS4, and Xbox One, and Out of Line is coming to Switch. And on July 8th, Sam & Max, this time it's virtual, is coming to PC VR on July 8th. So, cool.
Yeah, that's dope.
Nothing really here for me, but there's still some good stuff. I need to try a Plague Tale. It's on Game Pass, so I really should just play it on the Xbox, but haven't gotten around to it yet because there were some issues, if I remember correctly, at launch where it just didn't run very well, and I think since then a lot of that has been patched, and I think it runs pretty decently now, especially on next gen. But
right,
yeah. Fallout 76 just refuses to die, and Ubisoft is putting out more DLC. So
that's hilarious. Moving on, we got your PlayStation Plus games for July. So you're gonna get Call of Duty Black Ops 4, which is the PS4 version or PS5 version. Forget which one.
That'd be a PS4 game. I don't think they did a PS5 update on that. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's a couple. That was before Modern Warfare.
Yeah. So you're going to get Call of Duty Black Ops 4, WWE 2K Battlegrounds is also going to be the PS4 version, if I recall, or is it the PS5 version? Didn't they switch it up? It's like 2 PS5 games this week or this month. I don't know. There's something weird going on.
I don't know.
And then Plague Tale Innocence is coming as well. So I'll look this up while you do your Xbox ones to make sure so people get the right info here.
Yeah. Black Ops 4, I don't believe, because it's been...
No, I agree with you. Yeah,
that was the World War II game that they had too. So it's been 3 or 4 Call of Duties now at this point. So the Xbox games with gold for July are going to be Planet Alpha, which will be available July 1st to the 31st. Rock of Ages 3, Make and Break, which will be available July 16th to August 15th. Conquer Live and Reloaded is going to be available July 1st to the 15th, and Midway Arcade Origins is going to be available July 16th to the 31st.
Okay.
Conquer.
So, sorry, just before you go on that. So, going back, Plague Tale Innocence is the PS5 game, and then Call of Duty Black Ops and WWE 2K Battlegrounds are the PS4 titles. And they're all playable starting July 6th. So, hit it up.
Yeah. I figured the 2K Battlegrounds was not going to be a PS5
game. Yeah, I did
I
too.
think they put in the development to
I just didn't know if they did like all PS4 games or something, because there's not that many PS5 games like to pick from, right? I mean right now, I mean,
That's fair.
Right. It's I mean, everything's kind of weird, right? So, but anyways, going back to your Xbox games with gold for July. So Conquer Live and Reload, that's awesome.
That is cool. I'll
I hope they
definitely
come back with
pick
a
it up.
Conquer game. I don't think they ever will. But
Yeah, I feel like that's a tough one to bring back.
yeah, I don't think it would live well in today's society.
Yeah, it's like Ratchet and Clank, but not as good and more crude.
Yeah, King shit though. It's good.
Yeah,
Or King poo. I guess you can't say the S word
King
on
Poo.
YouTube. You know you can't do that.
You can't say. Really?
You can't say the word. Yeah,
Really?
so you can. From what I understand, the F word okay, but somehow the S word is worse, and I think it has to do with like international, like different countries.
Really? Huh?
Yeah, I don't know.
Boy,
YouTube's weird though. I mean, YouTube also at the same time is like removing just anything,
don't
right?
they only check like the first 30 seconds and the last 30 seconds anyway?
I mean, they. It seems like they kind of like target certain YouTubers, if we're gonna be honest.
Well, we're gonna be screwed.
So it is what it is. YouTube's a little whack right now. Moving on to some news. So Ghost of Tsushima is getting a director's cut. The director's cut adds a new chapter to Jen's story, where you visit the island of Iki. Is it Iki or Ikai? It's Ikai, isn't it? Ikai or Iki?
I think so.
Okay. As well as new features for the PS5, such as haptic feedback, 3D audio, better load times, and overall better performance. I totally forgot I turned my 3D audio off. Just while reading this is the first time I actually realized that I had it turned off. So the director's cut will be available for $59.99 US on PS4 and $69.99 on PS5. Getting a look at that, the $70 bracket for games now. Seems to be a new thing. And owners of the original version of the game can upgrade at any time for $19.99 on PS4 and $29.99 on the PS5. Those who buy the PS4 version can upgrade the PS5 version later for $9.99. So probably like hit up a GameStop
Yeah.
to get the cheapest way to get this, which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
But hey, so
So what gets me is people complain about prices of games constantly, and
people complain constantly.
Well, that's true. But what gets me is to add another chapter to this game for $20 kind of seems like a big ask. And then if you want the next gen version of it with the upgrades, it's $30. I don't know. To me, this price seemed a little bit aggressive, I
Steep,
think.
Yeah.
And nobody else seems to be bothered by it. But meanwhile, Battlefield is coming
Selective.
out. Right? And
Yeah.
Battlefield's coming out with a full multiplayer game for $70, which is just barely double this, and people are pissed off. So I just don't understand where people like I mean, they pick weird hills to fucking die on, right? Like,
I mean, I think they
don't-
just want to complain, a lot of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? I mean, like the Battlefield stuff, it's because it's EA, so then everyone piles on them. And I
Yeah.
mean, like we're not, we're not proponents of EA. I mean, it's just like
No.
I'm
by any
proponents
means.
of reality.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, so yeah, the thing for me too is just like I'd like to see like how many hours there are in this.
And that's the
Like,
thing.
what's
I
the
mean,
value of that? You know what I mean?
yeah, I can't even remember how much time I put into it. I think it was right around 40 hours maybe for the full game.
Gotcha.
And there was a decent amount of chapters. So I mean, you're probably adding, I would say maybe 6 to 8 hours. I would think, which isn't bad. I mean, honestly, that's not a bad price point, I guess. But I don't know. It just depends. Like you said, it all depends on how long this actually is. I don't know, man. Something about this price just kind of struck me when I was writing this up that it just seemed a little steep. And I feel like, in the $15 range and maybe like $25, I think that would have just seemed a little bit more reasonable. But I think it kind of rubs me the wrong way to have to pay for that upgrade in some sense. I don't know. It just seems steep. Something about it bugs me a little bit. And it's not bad though, and I might end up picking it up at some point, but I've been out of this game for so long now that I'd have a hard time going back and picking it up, I think. So
Well, me and my skills of being incredibly cheap, I have noticed that you can indeed pick up Ghost of Tsushima for around $26 pre-owned on average.
There you go.
And the national average is that at a GameStop. So if you pick that up for PS4, you only have to pay $9.99 to upgrade it to PS5.
Not quite.
What?
That's only if you have director's cut version already.
Oh my God! The director's cut of the PS4.
It would be $30 on top of that to get the director's cut version on the next gen.
Oh my God! So I guess now you're fucked.
Yeah, because I mean, basically,
no. You can save $10. You can save $10 if you get the PS5 version of this, or no, you're fucked. You're fucked. You're fucked. I'm sorry, guys. I tried. I tried. I really tried. It's over. I can't help you. It's going to cost a lot of money. So.
Yeah. I mean, all things said and done, if it was just, I don't know, like I said, if it had the PS5 version, and I don't know, something about it just doesn't set right with me. Like, I'm trying to justify how it would make sense for me, but because you'd end up having $90 in the game from the base game if you bought it at release, and then a $30 upgrade plus this DLC. So if you figure $20 for the DLC and $10 for the upgrade, it's not terrible. I don't know. Maybe I just am trying to talk myself out of it. I don't know what it is.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying it's ridiculous at what price it is. I mean, I don't understand why you would want to. Again, like if you want to explain to me the value that's present, okay. But I'm not going to go spend money on something where I don't know how many hours I'm going to get out of it, especially when it's already a game that's been out. Like, like how crucial is it to me to purchase it? And I mean, we could be sounding like idiots because, this game is like some people's,
yeah. I mean, this was one of my game of the years for last year. Right. Absolutely. I adored this game. So the base game included 24 chapters.
Okay.
And this, all it said is that this is going to add one chapter, basically, or a chapter.
Okay.
So how long to beat? I'm looking, and it was main plus extras was 43 hours, and completionist was 60 hours, which I did. I did everything in it. I platinumed this as well. So you figure 60 hours and 24 chapters. I mean, you're looking at a little over 2 hours per chapter. 2.5, almost 3.
So what are we going to get out of this? How much time?
I mean, you're probably about 2.5 hours to 3 based on what you've seen. But it could be a long chapter. You don't know. That's the weird part about it. I just remember there being a lot of chapters in this, and like I said, something about it just doesn't sit well with me.
It doesn't sit right.
It doesn't sit right, but we got some rumors. So according to a leaker named Tom Henderson, actually it's just one rumor, sorry, GTA 6 is not set to launch until 2025.
Good God.
Other notable things to kind of take notice of during the leak. The game will take place in modern day Vice City.
Yes.
There may be potential changes to the map over time, similar to how Fortnite alters their map throughout seasons, which I don't know what that would look like, if there's going to be a seasonal thing or if it's just randomly going to have events that destroy half the map, or what that's going to actually look like. I don't know. It seems like an odd choice, but again, this is all grain of salt type. I don't know. I'm trying so hard not to say the S word now that you said that, and I'm very, very cautious about it. If this does appear that it will have multiple player character or playable characters similar to GTA 5, and it is believed that this game will only be coming to PC and next gen consoles, which would make sense if it's not coming out until 2025. Again, huge rumor here from one leaker. We don't we have no confirmation on any of this. There's not screenshots. There's not anything like that. It was pretty much just text. So I wouldn't really trust this too much necessarily. That Tom Henderson does have a pretty decent track record though, so I will give him that. But at this point with GTA 6, I feel like everything's still up in the air.
Sure.
So.
I mean, it's all a rumor, right? I mean, it could be incredibly wrong. We have no idea yet, right? So, I mean, we have to keep our eyes on that. But I mean, I'm just happy that it's not going to be in, what was it originally? Was it Brazil or something like that?
Yeah, there were talks of it being in Brazil.
No, keep that in
for
America.
a while. And that's the thing with these GTA 6 rumors. Like, if we're still 3 years away, according to even this leak here, I feel like there's a lot of things that could still change and things that could be altered. And so it's not really worth paying too much attention to, but I thought it was kind of interesting to see there's been speculation for a while, but supposedly this is
Nick says Nick says to set it into Detroit. That might be too hard, dude, for GTA 6. That's some pretty tough stuff, dude.
They could add it as like an extra difficulty, just Detroit mode.
Detroit mode, yeah. Seriously. No, I mean, like, not that the international stuff would be bad, because I know people would be sensitive about that. What I just said, like, keep it in America, but like, I mean, seriously, keep it in America. It's cool.
Yeah, and
there's so many places that are just great. I mean,
this franchise has been in America for everything, right? I mean,
like Americanized. I mean, I guess the latest update, right, was you take a submarine to an island, but it's probably U.S. territory.
Right.
It's the Bahamas. It just doesn't Nassau in the Bahamas. Yeah, I mean, I'd be cool with like them doing this, and like the next one after this, in like 32 years will be like, them doing Liberty City. Like that's cool. I'm cool with all of that. If they want to revisit stuff, plus like you figure the stuff in GTA 5, you imagine like Miami properly done up, like Vice City properly done up. Like you have South Beach, you have the city of Miami, and then like you have those outskirts swampy areas like you saw in like Red Dead Redemption, where like you can go. Like I would just love the state of Florida. Would be ridiculous. And like be able to like go to like Central Florida in some essence, and like they make fun of like Disney World or something like that, or like you end up in like the Panhandle, which is like just redneck as could be, and like you just get through some crazy stuff and crazy people up there,
So basically playing GTA 6 as Trevor.
Yeah, Trevor. Like Trevor's family is originally from like the Panhandle. And you just go to like a bunch of just mock cities from Florida. Florida's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's America's Russia.
America's mullet, man. Be awesome.
Oh yeah,
be awesome. Yeah. Hey, 2025. That sucks.
Yeah.
Like I really would like this game ahead of time, but per a lot of the reports. They're waiting for, they want more PS5 units and Xbox Series X units out there. It makes sense. That's business. Yeah. Get it out there. Yep. People are going to buy it. I mean, I think people are going to buy it regardless. They'd probably buy it twice, to be honest with you. If it came out now and they buy it again when it would come out on PS5 and Series X, but it makes sense. So,
I mean, 12 years between GTA releases, plus basically skipping an entire generation. I mean, it released on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, but originally it was a 360 and PS3 game. That's insane.
It is.
And I forget that a lot of times because it's still so relevant to this day.
And I'm an idiot, and I'm going to buy it for PS5 when it comes out in November.
Yeah, probably. I should have just bought the PS4 version, because isn't it supposed to be a free upgrade when it does come out, or no? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I'll have to check it out.
Get that info for me while I pick up the next story here. All right.
Go for it.
So obviously Sony wants to pick up some studios now that Microsoft is picking up a bunch of studios, or has been for the last couple of years for Xbox, and so PlayStation has picked up some studios recently. So this week it was announced that 2 more studios have joined the PlayStation Studios family. So Ours Marquee, who is known most recently for Returnal, has had a strong partnership for nearly 26 years with Sony, but now has officially joined the team at PlayStation Studios. At this time, it's not entirely clear what this means for the studio, but it doesn't seem that too much will really change from the fans' perspective. And they were working really close with them anyways, to begin with before this acquisition. So,
oh yeah.
And that's typically how it goes with Sony. I mean, Microsoft just kind of like went out and bought shit and was like, hey, we'll buy you. And Sony's kind of like, hey, we've worked with you for a long time, we'll buy you. And I think that's a smarter strategy than what Microsoft's been doing. But Microsoft didn't have that luxury. And then Nix's Software also joins the PlayStation Studios family. We found about this today. So in the past, Nix's has worked mainly as a support team, mostly to Crystal Dynamics, and have worked on many of the Tomb Raider games, as well as Thief and Hitman Absolution. And their role writing PlayStation Studios within PlayStation Studios is also unclear at the moment. But they also do a ton of PC port. And they've been doing that support for them. So this is getting into, that stuff where obviously we've heard that Sony really wants to get stuff out on Steam, out on the Epic Game Store, I would imagine as well, considering they own a stake in Epic Games. And we'll see from there. But I mean, they're making the right moves. I think Sony's poisoning themselves up and going slow with it and being methodical in what they purchase. But they're being smart. And they have to do this, right, to go against Xbox. But now this leads us down that path, like so many other industries have found themselves into now, where when does this become, basically the only large-scale video games come out from studios owned by Sony or from Microsoft?
Right.
I mean, eventually it's just going to be indie games that, you can't. The systems are expensive. It's become more expensive to develop for them. The bar's been set so much higher. And indie games are great, don't get me wrong, but as that bar spreads and it costs more, and the industry standard sets higher, it costs more, and your what is an indie game is going to change heavily. I think for sure, especially when you have a price point of like a AAA being a $70 game. Where does your indie title go, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's going to be interesting to see that for the next couple of years as to what happens. But they got to do it. So smart moves there. Any notes on this from you? Or
No, I think, you kind of brought up an interesting point that a lot of people hadn't really touched on, is that Nix's Software is doing a lot of PC ports. And with PlayStation is really working towards that direction, which we've been seeing a lot of, and right. I think this is part of their big move towards that, because they realize they have to cover that PC market. And then, I mean, House Marquee, they've been it seems like they haven't put out a ton of massive games, but I mean, Returnal is doing exceptionally well, and it was a great game, and a lot of what House Marquee does is like this kind of like bullet hell type of game, and they do it very well, and now they've done it in basically a roguelike setting plus 3D, and it I mean. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do going forward, because they absolutely killed it on Returnal, even though I haven't personally played the game, but from what I've seen of it and everything, it looks incredible and people loved it. So very, very, very cool to see that, PlayStation's growing too. And at a certain point, it is going to be concerning with how much studios that Xbox and PlayStation.
There's going to be the question of monopolization, right?
Right. At a certain point. Yeah, and it certainly will, I think, at a point, but I just don't know how far that has to go. Because, I mean, we just had Disney buy out Fox, so... I mean,
usually by the time it gets called out, it's too late, right? I mean, that's usually the whole premise of like, whoa, hold on a second, how did this happen? And it's like, well, I mean, it's been slowly happening for years.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't expect it to come about until it's... And I think it's also an industry that, like... To be quite honest with you, like the government doesn't really give a shit about, because they don't really know anything about it.
Because, a lot of the government is a bunch of
old people. Old as dirt, man. And plus also, like, I mean, I guess the only thing that would go to that now is like Fortnite with the platform. But I wouldn't, I mean, that's still, well, that's kind of monopolization. It's kind of not. So I don't know. I think it's interesting, but yeah, I think it's going to definitely fly under the radar for sure, because nobody knows what the hell they're talking about or what they're doing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
From Congress perspective. I mean, Congress is a mess.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yes.
So to circle back very briefly here on the GTA 5 thing, it does not, it hasn't been announced yet whether it is going to be a paid or free upgrade. I would assume it's probably going to be paid, but right now they have not actually announced that. Also, another thing I need to address, Nick asked, how do I pronounce Majora? It's Majora. like Majora's Mask, it's Majora.
Oh.
So just had to address that real quick.
It is not Spanish. It's not Majora.
Majora. Anyway, so xCloud Gaming is now running in more places. So the feature that allows you to play xCloud Gaming on Windows 10 PCs and Apple phones and tablets through the browser has now left beta and will be available across 22 countries. And this is available right now. I still haven't tried this. I finally got into the beta, never tried it because I just hadn't gotten around to it, but I need to. Microsoft has also updated their data centers, and they are upgraded, sorry, not updated. And these now offer a better experience for cloud gaming, bringing the resolution up to 1080 and 60 FPS, which is something that took PlayStation a very long time to do for PlayStation Now. So, I mean, they're already making big strides, and I imagine it's probably not going to be too much longer before it even goes further than that. And if you do want to give this a go, if you do have Game Pass Ultimate and you want to play on a Chromebook or an iPad or whatever you want to play on, the website is xbox.com/play. So, or /play, sorry. But definitely worth checking out. I'm going to give it a go, even though I don't have any reason to. I'm probably going to give it a go just to see how it runs. And
sure,
I should have done that a while ago, but you know,
I mean,
I remember getting the email on like a random Tuesday or something in the middle of the day, and then I just forgot I even got it.
So do you want to know my thoughts on xCloud? I don't think people give a shit that much. I think gamers do. I think the general public, like the casual gamer, does not care and is not interested in playing it on their phone. I think a tablet, when you bring that into play and like maybe someone brings their controllers, okay, maybe. Like, you know, you're on like you're in high school or in college and you're on a sports trip or whatever like that, you know, and you bring it along and then all of you guys can play, you know, whatever on it. Okay, but I honestly, like, I tracked Google Trends. I looked at a lot of like tag bubble charts and stuff like that, because I wanted to see. One, I was thinking about buying some more Microsoft stock, but I looked at a bunch of stuff and I looked at Google Trends and I tried looking on kind of the Xbox side of stuff, and it's kind of lackluster. There's not a lot of hype, like across the board for a lot of Xbox stuff. Like, call me crazy. I mean, in the stuff I did, I mean, I did even SEM Rush based like SEO search. I did a bunch of stuff. I looked through a ton of different things, and I was kind of astounded just overall. The entire Xbox brand itself does not have a lot of hype around it right now. Because here's the problem. In our world, like, in our social media, you know, everyone gets siloed, right, in an algorithm, okay? So, like, you know, we only get the shit that we want to see or that's going to keep our eyes glued to it, right? And so it tries to figure us out. And it does a really good job at it, right? And that's all social media platforms. But, like, for example, I get lost in it because I take a look at it and I'm like, oh, man, there's so and so talking about it. Oh man, so and so so hyped about it. I'm hyped about it. I think it's cool. I think it's great. I think it's neat. I think it's really cool. General public, not a selling feature for the general public, it would seem. Nobody really cares, or nobody really knows about it properly. I mean, the marketing is pretty bad for it. And then beyond that, it just seems like hardcore gamers just give a shit about it. And it seems to be a novelty.
I don't know. So my thing with like cloud gaming and like playing it on your phone, the screen's just too small for some games. Like I think there's some games that work very well on it. And granted, phones just keep getting bigger and bigger. I mean, this thing's
mine's
massive
huge.
now, right?
Yeah.
And it's very dirty. I just noticed that as I held it up into the camera.
Mine is clean.
I've been golfing today, so I've got dirt and beer fingerprints on it. But but anyway, yeah, I enjoy it. I've got that little Razer Kishi, and I just can't really. I never really default to picking that up. I mean, but meanwhile, I turn around and I play just everything on my Switch. Like my Switch Lite. I turn around and play almost everything on it, and the screen is just about as big as it is on my phone anymore. Right. So I think there's definitely value there, but you have to pick and choose what games you play in it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the cloud gaming is very good for. Now, if you wanted to pay for Game Pass Ultimate, and then you get like, say, you can't afford an impressive, computer or anything like that, you can just pick up a Chromebook and then play it that way. And I think that's cool. I agree. I think the majority of hardcore or hardcore gamers, I don't really like calling them that, but those people are not going to want to play over the cloud. It's a cool thing, but it is more of a backup plan than it is anything.
I think what they should have done as a company was rebrand it to like, something, not Xbox Now, but name it something else other than xCloud. That's fucking stupid. I understand how it is a benefit to the services ecosystem of an Xbox user. And you're just like, wow, I get, free games each month. I get, online play. I get Game Pass. I get the ability to play my games over the cloud without an Xbox. But I think if you rebranded it and you sold it as a separate monthly service and you pitched it like it was a Luna, like it was a oh my god, how am I having a brain fart on Google's right now? That's ridiculous. Oh my god, what's the thing that's almost gonna die? Stadia. If you rebrand it like a Stadia using the Xbox branding and it was a separate monthly purchase, I think you would get people understanding it and going for it. The problem is they're using it as an additional service of like, you can play this. Gamers, big gamers, you can play this, which is great. That's cool. You don't really need to explain it that much to hardcore gamers, though. You could just throw it in and be like, here you go. Hey, that's pretty neat. But you should be marketing it as a separate service for like what you said. Don't have a really cool, hey, you no longer have to have a $4,000 PC. Play today's top games without having to ever upgrade a graphics card for X amount per month on Xbox Now, Xbox Jump or something like that, whatever. And basically, I mean, that's how you would pitch it. I think is the smartest way, is the smartest thing to do, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I agree. I think there needs to be some sort of centralization for it because it is a little all over the place. It's confusing for people that are not entirely up on everything. I mean, even for us, sometimes it's not really confusing, but I understand where the confusion comes from.
Sure.
And even then, the games with gold thing has been practically dead since Game Pass launched and has been being pushed pretty heavily.
Right.
Games with gold has kind of sucked. And most of the time, people do not care about the games that are coming through that. And meanwhile, PlayStation is putting out, really impressive games through it most of the time. So it is this weird spot for Xbox to kind of be in because they've put out all these systems and now they have to figure out how they're either going to try to make some more money off of it because surely they can't be making that much money off of Game Pass as it is currently.
They pooched themselves on making more money on the xCloud shit by throwing it in And now they've just made it like this throw-in. So now if you take that throw-in and you try to make it a monthly fee outside of it, people aren't going to buy it. Because they're just going to go, why the fuck would I just go buy an Xbox?
Right. And honestly, I mean,
it's crazy.
Like I said, I have Ultimate because I play on the PC sometimes here and there. And honestly, I probably would be fine with just regular Game Pass. But I do use it occasionally and probably barely enough to justify it. But for the extra $5, it's nice to have. But it's... Yeah, if they were to separate it, I wouldn't pay for xCloud. I mean, I enjoy it, and I think there's a lot of good stuff there. I mean, like, I played Ori on my phone. Like, playing Ori on my phone is perfect because it's a platformer. The character is very bright, so you can see him perfectly, and it's not a problem. But it's certainly not worth me spending, extra money in order to do, because I'm not going to do it very often. I have my Switch for that, and right. I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with the Switch. It's a better experience because it is actually running on the system rather than hoping you have good internet or, whatever it may be. And it's just, there's a lot of factors that make cloud gaming very difficult, and I think it will be successful at some point in time, but I don't know if we're quite there yet.
No, and I mean, what it should have been is introduction of service with a small, minuscule, cost-effective little box. So, hey, you don't want to spend $600, $700, whatever. What is it, like $700 or $600 on the Series X? $599, something like that. $499, $500. Okay, you can't spend $500 on this. You can sign up for this service, and we'll send you this stick for free that goes in the TV. Okay, cool. Now you can play all your games on your TV, and guess what? You can play on that, and here's the monthly thing. And then months down the road, after you've fleshed everything out, once you've got those subscribers on board, then you say, hey, Game Pass Ultimate, you're going to get xCloud now. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why they would do what they did for the sake of stakeholders, for shareholders. It makes no sense.
I think they rolled it out like backwards from how they should have.
Yeah, they fucked themselves over
100%.
because you saw, right? Like, they tried to do the whole thing where it's like, well, we'll up the price of Xbox Live. It's like, no, you can't do that. You can't give people free shit and then up it. That's like involuntarily receiving something and being like, I'm going to give you this, and you're going to pay extra for it each month. No, I don't want that.
It works for Netflix. They raise their prices like every 3 months.
Yeah, it does. It does work for Netflix, but I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy how they launched it. It's crazy how they handled it. And I mean, they missed quite possibly millions upon millions of dollars of revenue.
I agree.
Coming in. It's crazy.
I mean, I'm okay with it because it works for me as it currently sits. But if they raise prices, I mean, things are going to change, obviously. But
yeah, but they've got so many studios to support, and they've got
locked into Game Pass Ultimate for 2 more years, so we're good.
God, it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, moving on. So we got a quite an interesting team up that's coming up in the gaming world. So the long rumored deal between Hideo Kojima and Microsoft has moved forward as both parties have signed an official letter of intent. This is certainly not an official contract or anything binding, but it does make it pretty obvious that Kojima is very serious about working on an Xbox game in the future. So LOIs, by the way, yeah, like we noted in there, they don't mean shit. I mean, I could write Brody a little note that says, hey, Brody, will you be on the podcast tonight? We have the intent to be on the podcast. Certainly we can work together. Sign it. Okay, cool. Konami and Bloober Team have signed a cooperation agreement. What exactly this means for the companies going forward is yet to be seen, but it was clearly stated in the agreement that the partners declared cooperation in the developments of contents and the exchange of know-how. Brain dump, and that basically they're not going to sue each other for, giving each other, I guess, what you would call trade secrets, I guess, and a knowledge dump, like, hey, this is how we shade rocks. Oh, wow, we never thought of that. Is basically what that amounts to. So this is interesting. I don't know if it's that strategic as they think it is to do this. I also it kind of baffles me that Kojima would do this, because Kojima seems like the kind of guy that would be against the whole let me sign with one company.
Yeah, but I mean, historically, most of his games have been PlayStation exclusive too. I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
you look at
that's
like
fair. I just think from his
even
Twitter, he constantly goes on and on about like access to art and different forms of media and stuff. But he plays artist a lot, right? So
right. I was gonna say some of it is just part of his persona at this point, right?
yeah,
But
he's a character.
yeah, certainly. Yeah, I don't know if the
Someone hates us now
I
for
don't know.
saying that, by the way. But yeah,
That's fine.
Kojima's God apparently.
I'm not a fan of Kojima's games personally.
No,
I
I'm
just
not
can't
either.
get into them. I'm not
I don't
into
think
the
they're terrible.
artsy thing.
I just don't.
No,
I
it's just
just
not for me.
not my jam.
No, like that whole trailer where they have for Death Stranding director's cut and he like climbs in the box and then gets out of the box.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Like,
that.
I have never been
shit.
just so like from a trailer for a game, just watching it going, what the hell's going on? Why is this happening?
Right.
Why is it so long?
Oh
Why
my
was
God,
it
I forgot
so
about that.
prolonged for this thing? Like just absolutely incredible. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't really care.
Right.
But I mean, it would be kind of cool if he does pair up with Microsoft because it does show that he's not tied to the platform of Sony at this point of PlayStation, and
Yeah.
so it would be kind of cool to see that. And I mean, now Death Stranding is also on PC, but I really don't know what an Xbox Kojima game really looks like, nor do I think it's necessarily the place. It almost works on PlayStation because that's the experiences that he makes are. It seems to fit like the PlayStation crowd to some extent. Like, I mean, a lot of his fan base is in Japan, and Xbox is in Japan, but it's not huge in Japan like PlayStation is. So it feels like a weird move.
I mean, I think it's probably just throwing mud.
Probably.
It's this kind of shit that we're gonna see right over the next couple of years of like, well, we just bought them.
I knew Nick was going to be in the chat there going, I love Kojima. I know, Nick. I know you do. But
it is what it is. Hey, we're just honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're honest people. So, it is what it is. Cool.
And then, I mean, as far as the Konami and Bluebird team, okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're just gonna knowledge transfer stuff back and forth to each other. Of like, how would you build this better? Yeah, here you go. How would you do this better? Okay, cool.
A lot of people were freaking out because they think that Bluebird team is going to be working on like the next Silent Hill and stuff, but that's not necessarily what this is. Honestly, this doesn't mean much of anything other than like, hey, you help me, I'll help you. Like, it's weird. Okay,
right.
All right, like so be it, but whatever. So, so we're kind of finally getting to the review portion of this. So
let go.
This one's gonna be kind of brief because I haven't played enough to give it a proper review. But I've been playing Scarlet Nexus. It came out. What was that, last week?
Mm-hmm.
Picked it up. Finally been putting a little bit of time into it. Really enjoying what I have played so far. But I will say it's certainly not a perfect game. There's some things I don't care for it, even being like a JRPG fan. This is just, some of it falls into a weird category for me. So like one thing that kind of bugs me is that all of the cutscenes are like still images, or it's like a still image in the background and then it cuts to the two characters talking and like their lips move but nothing else happens, kind of like that, almost like what you see in like how Fire Emblem kind of does that kind of stuff sometimes in their interactions between people, and some of your handheld like JRPG games will do that. It's not a big deal, but I guess I kind of wanted to see just all of these cutscenes actually be full on cutscenes, and they do still have cutscenes too. I mean, but this is like it's like interactions with different characters is where you kind of see it the most. And it's a little off-putting, but it's not terrible. I mean, especially if you're kind of used to games that do it, it's fine. But I think I just wanted to see a little bit more from that. I will say the voice acting in this game is fantastic. I really enjoy the voice acting. I recognize a few of the voice actors from other games that I've played, and there was one character that's actually from he voices Tanjiro in Demon Slayer, so that's pretty cool to hear. I had to look it up because I couldn't place where I knew his voice from. It does play like an anime though. I mean, this is like watching an anime show and then playing bits and pieces and playing the combat. The combat is I've heard a lot of good things about the combat, and from what I've played of it so far, I have some problems with it. I mean, I enjoy the combat, but there's any flying enemy, even if you're locked in on them, you could miss very easily because your character, like when you jump up into the air and try to attack, it doesn't like lunge like some other games that allow you to kind of do easier combos on flying enemies and stuff like that. And that kind of gets a little bit annoying. I'm starting to get a feel for it and starting to get a feel for the combos and things like that. And that makes more sense now, but it's certainly not perfect.
My favorite's the enemy names. Like what was just shown on screen there was a Buddy Rummy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got interesting names for all the enemies. And so it does kind of fall into some of the typical anime tropes too. It's not awful like some things can be. It's not grating by any means, but it is a little bit off-putting when you got your typical like one of the main characters, depending on if you pick the female or male protagonist. The female is very she's very shy and kind of, but when she does talk, she's kind of an asshole. To be honest, like she's just everything she says is kind of like she has something to prove, with a chip on her thing. And then some of the other characters. I mean, you get your bubbly character that's kind of not necessarily the smartest type deal, and it just falls into a lot of those anime tropes that I'm sure many people are familiar with at this point in time. And it's, again, not grating, but I'd like to see people branch out from that, right? But some of the side story stuff and lore is actually kind of shown more in like a text messaging service rather than anything. Like you get this background knowledge of how the OSF works and things through weird text messages that it wouldn't even make sense for your characters to even be having that conversation at that point because they're part of this organization. So I'm pretty sure they already know what's going on and how it works, but I understand you have to put that in there somewhere just so you can convey what's going on a little bit. But it does feel
from your mic, buddy.
Are you? That's exciting.
Yeah, can you move it just
15 minutes
a bit?
Yeah.
Just change the cord in the back or something like that? Is that we're getting a buzz from it. This is weird. That's crazy.
It might have been my phone sitting next to the mic.
I think it is.
Is that better?
No, it's still when you go high up, it just buzzes. It might just be me. It's fine though. Just
okay.
Keep doing
and the last thing is that
Jesus Christ.
Fucking okay. I nothing's changed on my end, so I don't know what to tell you. But the music's great, but it does get a bit repetitive at times. And that is it's not awful, but I'm right in this main area still. I haven't left this town for the most part, and you hear this music a lot, and it's very unique music. And it didn't bug me so much in like Persona 5 where you hear the same music constantly, but in this it was a little bit too much, and I don't think it was. I don't know if it's quite good enough to listen to on repeat for forever. So, but really, other than that, I'm enjoying my time with it. I'm ready to put more time into it and kind of see how that all goes. But right now, that's just kind of my first impressions, and hopefully, I'll have a little bit more as I get further into it because I'm only about 2 hours in right now. So,
sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool to have these games. I mean, it's not my style, but it's certainly yours. You love these kind of games, so.
Oh yeah, these are. This is right up my alley for sure.
All right, and then I guess the next review, why don't I lead this, and then I would just try to unplug your mic and plug it from the back in. I think it's a loose connection because it's getting worse. Yeah, let's see if anyone in the chat notices it, or maybe it's just me on my end. I don't know if it's me on my end. Maybe it's this fucking headphone set that I've got on. Okay, speak.
Yeah.
No, it's still doing it. It might be on my end. I don't know. It's weird. It's being dumb. But anyways, let's move on with Mario Golf. So, man,
The audio just fucked up now too. That's what I didn't
oh
want to unplug my mic.
no, in Zencaster.
Yep. That's why I didn't want to unplug it.
Yep, that's why I didn't want to do that.
Yep. I wondered if that would be a problem.
You should be able to join back in.
Oh, I'm in it.
Okay,
It just stopped the
You
whole
just have to
recording.
download it. Okay. That's great. Okay, we'll figure this out. That's fantastic.
Fantastic.
Okay, it seems fine on that end, is what Eric said. So we're good. We're fine.
Sounds
cool.
like you, my friend.
That's great. I'm a big fan of that. I'm literally going to throw up from the sound that's coming through it. It's like just the perfect thing that it's causing my body to want to throw up. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, so if I throw up halfway through this, whatever. Anyways, let's talk about Mario Golf Super Rush. So, man, I do love me some golf. So this is interesting because before we received this game, before we both got this game, we did what any nerd does, and we went to Metacritic and searched through a good amount of things. And there was some mixed reviews. There was some rough reviews in different places. There was some ugly ones. There was some okay ones. There was some really good ones. And you had texted me, and you're like, "Hey, this isn't looking so hot." And I was like, "Damn it, I love golf, so I'm not gonna let this not be good."
That's golf.
Yeah, that's golf. But I ended up really liking it. And I think it's a strong game. I think there's some areas that are need for improvement. But I guess to get on with my review, I'll go on kind of graphics first. It's a Switch game. While saying that at the same time, the same amount of attention that's been given to like a Mario Odyssey and some other Mario staple games is not given in this game from a graphical standpoint. No. I mean, it definitely lacks on the graphics in certain areas, which is fine. But also at the same time, it is a little annoying considering it's a golf game and there's a lot of stuff that you could do with it to make it look prettier, considering that, there are a lot more constraints, less constraints graphically. In terms of the...
Are you playing handheld or are you playing on the TV?
So I played both. Handheld's interesting. I didn't notice that big of a difference considering the screen's tiny. I also wasn't playing with my glasses, but on the TV also, I mean, it looks okay.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say with the smaller screen, I've been playing it handheld, and I really don't mind the graphics. Like you said, it's not perfect, but
yeah,
it's about what I expected, and it's better than. I mean, it looks better than Pokemon did. So I mean,
this is true. This is true.
I don't know why everybody acts like the bar is set so high for a Switch game, other than like Breath of the Wild, and Mario Odyssey. But
right,
it is weird because that's a complaint I heard a lot about, and it really wasn't even all that off-putting to me. So, sorry.
No worries. Yeah. So I mean, graphics, whatever, cool. I can get past it. Sound and music in the game, I thought was great. I thought it was really cool. There's one issue I do have with the sound, and that's that when you get into story mode, the characters have like two fucking sounds that they use for their voices. So like Toad, every time you click A to go to another text block, it's like oh ho oh ho, and it doesn't even alternate. It's not like it goes oh ho, and then like randomly alternates. It's just the same fucking sequence, and it was driving my wife nuts. Janelle's like sitting there, I'm playing on the TV, and it was like a Hammer Bro or something like that, and he was just like ho 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 with all the text boxes. She's like, how many is that all he says? I'm like, well, there's text, but I'm like, it doesn't change. I guess they recorded two sounds, or probably just reused two sounds from another game on this. But anyways, let's get into gameplay. So classic golf mode. I think it's good. It's a solid golf game. Obviously, it's arcadey. So you've got power-ups, which are pretty cool. I played a couple characters. My favorite was Mario. And I like Mario's power up just because you know exactly where the ball is going to go. It essentially goes and then it immediately drops vertically as if it hit a wall and it sits dead. So it's great for like your second shot, like trying to get onto the green. So I thought that was cool. Shaping your shot and stuff, like curving it in different ways, little difficult with the analog stick on the Switch.
It's a bit tricky, and you have like 3 levels of how you can curve it too.
And they're pretty
Actually,
quick.
technically 6 on some of them. Yeah, and it's very fast, and you have to time it before the arrows actually come up. It's like a feel that you get after you've done it a handful of times, and it's not the most simple thing in the world by any means.
No, not at all. And to go on some of that gameplay as well, and go back to some of the sound stuff, you can fast forward. You know, your gameplay, like while your shots in the air, you can just fast forward everything. But when you do that, like every shot that you take, there's like, you know, it's really old school, super arcadey sounding everything. Like every time someone takes a shot, there's, you know, there's a guy voiceover that like says, you know, the same thing, standard spin, or like great shot, good shot, nice on, you know, stuff like that. But it's like that every single time. Be nice to be able to shut that off in the settings if you want to have like a peaceful golf session, which is something I thought Nintendo would do, but yeah.
I do not believe that I have actually even played this game with sound on.
Oh, okay. You don't want to. It's
Yeah,
it's really annoying.
Yeah.
Like that's my biggest complaint about the whole game is the repetition.
There was nothing in here that I was like, you know what? I'd like the sound on for this game.
Yeah, no, like
Usually I play it while the wife is watching TV or something
Yeah,
too. So
but-
it's like, go for it.
like it's just throwing out sound bites to you for like everything. And when you play with like 4 players, it really, and you're fast forwarding, it really sucks because like every 9 seconds there's essentially a guy yelling something like "nice shot" at you, and it's the same voice over and over and over and over again. But anyway, so standard golf mode, cool. Courses, they're all right. There's, you know, like your classic golf course. There's like a little bit more challenging style of like a hilly kind of one, and then you kind of get into the more arcadey ones that get a little nuts. So I personally like the normal ones the best. I don't mind some like the dry desert stuff and other shit. Like that was okay. That was cool. But I mean, it is what it is. So for a standard golf game, yes, it holds up, but the bar is pretty low for standard golf games. Where the game shines is in the rush mode, like in the actual golf rush mode, in that when you either play it in story mode, and story mode kind of introduces you to like all the game modes essentially, but when you play that, it makes the game a lot more enjoyable and it's fun. You have a ton of fun playing it. I even had a ton of fun playing with the AI. I didn't play any online. Did you play online or no?
I have not.
Okay.
No, I'm going through the story mode to unlock all the courses and stuff.
Okay, cool.
So
the rush mode is interesting. I mean, the stamina bar is an interesting concept and running around is interesting. However, like you run the whole course, and I think a lot of people thought like you would run to a checkpoint and then you would it would like phase out and then you go to another thing. It's like, no, like you tee off and then like you start running, which is cool. But I feel like they could have done other things. Like it would be cool to have other obstacles, like like a thwomp or something like that, fall on you in a certain area, or like just different stuff where like your character is susceptible to being slowed down. There is some things, but it's not much. Like if you play the classic course, your character like slows down if you have to like run through a sand bunker, for example. But there's not much there in total.
And from what I've played so far, at least in the adventure mode or whatever, there's not really much that it affects. Like you don't get more points because you got it in first or anything like that. Like
No.
it is literally just you run to the ball and you have like 2 minutes to actually to finish the course, which is ample enough time.
Yeah, the whole, which is almost way too much time.
Yeah, there's nothing that is
Rushed.
pressuring. Yeah, it is entirely like yeah, cool, you're running, you're using a speed thing, but it doesn't matter at all.
Right.
It's weird. Like I just feel like that's kind of if you're gonna, you need to have some sort of reason to do it.
Right.
But,
Yeah. No. I mean, like the 2 minutes. By the way, it was Discord because I just jumped out, and jumped in, and everything is just beautiful now. So you sound great. Before it was sounding like the God, what's the character in Star Wars? When Princess what's the mask from the character in Star Wars that Princess Leia wears when she's rescuing Luke and Han from Jabba's hut?
oh, the like desert people thing. Yeah, the
It's like,
Tusken Raiders.
where it's like no, not the Tusken Raider. It's got like the almost like a fucking harmonica looking thing across it. It's like I'm your that's basically what it sounded like through my ear the whole time. I was like, Jesus, I can't take this. It was just getting worse. And I'm like, I want to hear your opinions. Yeah, you're right. The 2 minute stuff on the holes, man. It doesn't rush people, which is crazy. Because that's the game mode. And so basically, like when you leave off the tee, you hold like
The entire game is called Super Rush, and there is no rush.
yeah. You basically hold down, a ZL, and just rip it off of the tee and use your boost to start with. And then with your me character, you kind of go through and you can update and upgrade as you level up. So you can like choose like how hard you hit the ball, your control of the ball, your speed, shit like that. So later on in the story mode, you advance into different things. So moving on into the story mode, because you brought it up also, boss battles. Have you done a boss battle?
No, not yet.
Okay, so they're kind of ridiculous.
So I have made it to the cross country course,
Okay, yeah.
the first cross country course, and I'm getting ready to do like the actual like tournament for that. I
Sure.
just finished up like the first like qualifying round and everything, which mind you, the cross country is pretty fucking difficult,
Yeah.
I think. To plan out those shots, and then they've got those stupid fucking tornadoes that barely work. And if you hit the ball too hard into it, it will actually still hit the wall and then just bounce back and roll down like 2 levels to where
Yeah.
you're at. I had a lot of trouble with that. It took me like 3 tries to get through the one where you have to make it in 6 different holes and like 30 shots or something like that. It's different, and you have to. I understand it's supposed to be like that, so you plan your shots and things, but I had a hell of a time getting him actually to go up to the final hole that I needed to the point where you just basically had to hit it over by the tornado and then use like I'm like a wedge and essentially to just chip it into the tornado and up over. It's kind of weird. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Okay, so then there's that, and then there was oh my gosh, the golf arena mode, battle arena. It's interesting. I mean, it's a game mode. You're trying to get as many holes completed as before other people, right?
it is a game mode, yes.
Well, what I mean by that is it's like you would think that there would be numerous versions of that to change up, but there's not. And so I guess, unfortunately, if I had to not give it a score, but if I had to say what the scenarios played out on this game, it's a lot like Aces. In the fact that it came out, it's running, it's riding the coattails of what has been, quite a loved series, honestly, and hasn't been touched in a hot minute. And you bring something like this back, and it's I don't know. I mean, it doesn't. This game would live up on GameCube.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it wouldn't, and I'm not talking graphically. I'm talking like just like how in depth the game would be. But it doesn't live up now, and I don't know if that's Nintendo setting that bar with what's been on Switch, or if that's just the industry as a whole. But I feel like the series definitely deserved a little bit better than this. I don't think it's an awful game. Like, there are people who are like, this is terrible, And there was the argument too of like, I'm sick and tired of Nintendo, releasing a game or announcing a game and saying, and there'll be many more updates down the road, like an update coming out. It's like, I don't really care about that because they're showing that they're going to give a shit about the game down the road. But I do
Maybe.
understand their annoyances in the fact that, hey, look, like they're working on an update, but they could have probably put some more into this game to begin with.
So here's where I'm at on this so far. And again, I'm not horribly far in. I've played. I don't know. I've probably played again.
Oh my
5 or
God! There's
6
the
hours,
best
I
part of the
think.
game that just came up. Sorry, on the screen share on our screen right now. The golf watch.
Yeah.
The best part, and the super technical device, the golf watch.
I think at a certain point though, it's a golf game. I don't know what people expected. I
Sure.
mean, as far as golf games go, this has more variety than any other game you're going to play.
Yeah,
And
this is better than PGA 2K21.
easily. It even from a base level of a golf game, this is a better golf game than that. Rather, I mean, all of the super rush bullshit aside, like this is still a better golf game fundamentally. And so I don't know what people expected, and I feel like there was a whole lot of rose-colored glasses on this, and I think people expected it to be as crazy as it was back in the day, and like as far as how they felt about it. But the industry has changed, and I don't think people realize that this game isn't going to do anything crazy like
You're right.
some of the earlier Mario Golf games. So to me, this is exactly what I expected. And honestly, from what I've played of it so far, I enjoy it. I really do. I think it's fun. I'm having a good time with it. But yeah, I'm not sure what people expected, and I don't know why people were so let down by this, giving it just awful ratings, because it's not a bad game. It's not really a bad game. There's a decent amount of content. The adventure mode is decently long. Again, I've played like probably 5 or 6 hours, and I'm not anywhere close to done with the adventure mode. So there's a pretty healthy campaign there. And then on top of that, you have just the multiplayer stuff and some of the other modes, and there's online. I don't think this is a slow game. I don't think there's a lack of content here, but it is a golf game at the end of the day, and it's going to play like a golf game. And if you don't like golf games, you are not going to like this. If you don't enjoy pretty simple gameplay of run to a ball, hit the ball, run to the ball, hit the ball, I don't know what else to tell you, really. It's just weird.
It is a weird time, and I think you nailed it pretty good in the fact that, like, people remember, this series of titles, just like, Aces, right? People remember, the GameCube version of Mario Tennis, right? And they play that stuff and they go, oh man, I can't wait for this. I had so much fun with that. But they also haven't picked up that game in a long time. They also haven't played the GameCube version of that game since saying that statement, right? And waiting all of this time. And when they do that, if a lot of people did that, they would realize, wow, this does not hold up today. And it's not the graphics. It's not the overall gameplay. It's just, like you said, the fundamental notion of the game. I mean, if they wanted to keep a level bar and keep up with the industry set standard for stuff, what they would basically do is make like Mario Country Club and essentially have tennis and golf in the same game.
Right.
And that would basically bring it to the level that you would have nowadays. But like what you said, there's a ton of constraints with this. I mean, you have Mario characters playing golf. I mean, that is it. I mean, golf has set rules into it. Yes, the Super Rush is a neat idea. I don't think it's executed the best. I think it's still fun. Yeah. But there's only so much you can do. And people are like, well, what about the golf and all that other stuff? It's like, yeah, that's not even golf.
No.
That's just a totally different game.
That's Be the Ball Simulator.
Yeah, that's just it's a fun game. But
yeah, it was fun.
It's one of those silly games out there. Mm-hmm. It's not trying to actually give the value of playing golf in an arcade setting, and just arcadey games following the actual prescribed set of a sport or something like that, it's expected to be a smaller game. Like, do I think this is a full pop game? I don't know. I don't really know. The story mode is not long. I have not completed it fully. However, I've watched people and listened to the amount of hours it took them and looked up how many hours it is, and it's short.
I mean,
I'm very close to
depends, I
beating
guess.
it.
How many hours you got in it?
God, I probably have almost 4.5, if not 5, but I fiddled around a lot.
See, I had to redo a couple matches over and over, so it's hard for me to actually look at how much I have.
The story mode was 5 hours, is what they're saying.
Yeah, if you have perfect rounds every single time, maybe. But even then, I think that seems a little on the short side to what actually is there. Because I think I've actually, like I said, I had to redo a couple things, but nothing too crazy. And I bet you I'm probably at 4 or 5 hours in it, and I'm just at that cross country thing. So I still have quite a bit left to do.
But here's the problem, right? That Nintendo faces now in this world also is that this game could be so much more if online was easy to use.
Yeah, I can't see how much time
because was smooth. Yeah. This would be a no-brainer for people.
Yeah, I think yes, but also I think no, because
you don't think like that, like golf with friends and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, but those are, I don't know. It becomes a weird spot because it is a very simplistic thing. I mean, that'd be like PGA Tour game being huge online, and it's just not. I mean, it is obviously a very different thing because it is Mario characters and it does have some goofy stuff going on, but I don't know if it's, I don't know how big this would be. It's not going to be a Smash Bros. It's not going to be a Mario Kart. It is a very weird thing where it'd be like aces, like you said earlier. I mean, it would essentially be aces. There's a select group of people that were going to buy this game, and that's probably about all that were going to buy it, and all that are going to play it. And there's going to be an even smaller amount that are going to have a dedicated community to playing this online and actually, putting more time into it. So I even with their janky online, I don't know how well it would actually even do if that would have saved it. And not that it needs saved.
I just think it would have brought
well.
further value in the standpoint that
about
you would
the
have
Switch as a whole.
Oh yeah, I agree. Whole, I just mean arcadey games, like to not have that while you're also going to have these arcadey games is one of the big issues. Is that it's like you don't. I mean, once you play, the story mode and stuff like that, you have nothing.
Right.
And other systems, you have replayability with that online kind of style, play. So I don't know. It's interesting. Overall, my score on this, if I had to, I mean, obviously we don't do numerical scores. It's been a while since we've rated something, but we do a pass, or we do a do not buy, a wait for go on sale, or absolutely go purchase. So there's a caveat with this because it's Nintendo, which means it's never going to go on sale. So I would get
maybe $10 off.
Right. I would like to say wait for it to go on sale, but I don't think it will. If it does, it'll go on sale for like $10 off, like you had mentioned. I don't really think it's a go out and buy right now. Unless you're really into golf.
And those people probably already bought it.
Right. Or they have like a PJ 2K21, right? I mean, like, if you want the nostalgia of it, cool. If you want to have like a fun little party game that I guess you could have like a couple people over and play, cool. But it is not a must play game of any sort. And it certainly does not, it won't take you back to the GameCube style days.
No. My rating, I'm in the same boat. I almost would say that if you were on the fence because there were some reviews saying, it wasn't very good, fundamentally it is a good golf game. So if that's your concern, you're good there. And if you can find value in just playing this by yourself, so be it. But there's only 6 courses. And they have said that there's going to be, updates coming to it, but we don't know what that necessarily means, whether there's going to be a lot more courses up
New
or
Donk City's
added or
coming.
yeah, we know New Donk City's coming,
Which is kind of that's cool. I mean, that's more arcadey, where you're gonna be playing in a city and you hit the ball around places. But
right. And if they continue to add maps, that's where I'm going to fall at. If they continue to support this game, I would recommend going and picking it up after they have added more maps to it or more courses. And after there's a little bit more there, because right now it is a little bit thin. But fundamentally it is a good game. So mine is wait until they add more content, not wait for a sale, because again, it doesn't happen, but wait for more content to come to it.
Agreed.
And make sure they're actually going to support it, because God knows what Nintendo's support looks like most of the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on, get onto the Ratchet and Clank review. So do you want to, I guess we'll just quickly tag team this together or whatever and kind of speak to our...
Yeah. Absolutely adore this game. This is a fantastic looking game. It is kind of one of the, I won't say the first time, but it is certainly one of the instances where I've been like, hey, this is what new gen gaming looks like. This is what it looks like on a new gen console. And it's very, very impressive. I mean, granted, the art style was very smart and it lended itself very well to this. But yeah, I really, 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 really like how pretty this game is. I mean, there's so much going on, and when you're watching a video of it, it almost is overwhelming, but while you're playing it, it all feels entirely natural, and everything feels right. But it's, man, visually, I just love everything about it.
Yeah, I was gobsmacked by it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like the videos that you can watch don't do it justice because of compression and all this stuff,
I mean,
right?
yeah,
But
we're still pretty good right now. We're doing like 1440 because I mean it's YouTube, right? You can't
right.
I mean, even then 1440 gets downgraded because it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, so when you're watching a video of it, like you're watching right now, if you're watching us on YouTube, It looks pretty, but it doesn't do it the justice of actually sitting down and playing it. They just added another patch that allows you to I think it was play at 4K 120. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Basically you had the choice of in the settings of having 60
Well, this
frames.
is a new patch.
No, I know,
Came out
I know,
okay.
but I'm just so before the patch, you had two options with the 60 frames per second. But then you lost like some ray tracing abilities and some additional things. And then, yes, now this new update is like, hey, you just have everything now, which is awesome. So, but yeah, I agree with you. Like there are times in this game when you are, and I've played a good amount of this game as well. Brody, you've beaten it. I'm close-ish to getting through the story. But what's crazy is like there's times where, like, for example, we come out of like your spaceship and you're moving to the next part, in the story or whatever, and like you walk out and you're just like, wow, this is a game. And I know that that's something that's been around since like, we saw it originally in PS4, but I cannot explain how close it is. Like there is no perceivable difference in you getting in the ship, the cinematic scene, and you walking out of it. There are no black screens taking you to another section. There are no, fades and cheesy fades to get to that next segment of where the character needs to be. It is fluid, and you get caught and you get lost in it, being like, oh shit, that's right, I got to play. Like the first opening scene, right? You're Ratchet, you come out of the doors, and they're like, people are clapping for you and all this stuff. They're having like a parade with all the balloons downtown. And it's kind of a tutorial for the start of the game, and you're there, and then like it kind of just stops, and Ratchet's like standing there, and you're like, "What's going on? Why is he just standing there?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm in the game. I'm playing the game now. Holy shit!" Like it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I just said the S word too.
Yeah, you've said it more.
I don't think it matters.
I love how you brought it up, and then you've said it like 4 times this episode. So
God, I don't think it matters.
one thing I absolutely love about this game, and it's like this perfect blend of kind of more of an older school adventure platforming game and also modern gaming. But it's these open worlds, but they're not massive. They're not overwhelming. You can travel around these in a relatively short span of time. But doing this, like these small bite-sized worlds just packed with things to do, and there's a bunch of good stuff going on, and it captures your attention for the perfect amount of time, and then you go to a new world, and now you have a new place to explore. And that's what I love about it, rather than just being one giant open world. I love these little bite-sized levels, but still having that open world feeling to them without being just bogged down with a bunch of, mindless bullshit to do in every one. I mean, there's a few collectibles in each world, and that's really about it. I mean, it's nothing too overwhelming. It's not, absolutely crazy or anything like that, but it is certainly like that feeling to me was just perfect, and I think they absolutely nailed that.
I agree. And this is also going back to the story of it. This is the closest I've ever felt to playing like a Pixar animated film in some sense. The characters, like the humor in the characters is hilarious, and the villains and the enemies. I mean, the things that the enemies say are absolutely hilarious when you're shooting them, and they interact with different things. If you use the pixelator, they say different things than if you're going to use your shatter bombs and different stuff like that. It's really cool how it changes things up. Onto stuff perhaps we don't like. So my two first thing, really the only two things I have on the game so far I don't like is early on, and I think it's changed now, but it crashed on me a couple times. It crashed on me on the first day when I went to go play it, like maybe half hour into game. It crashed. It crashed on me again a couple days later after there was another patch where I fell into basically a canyon while I was flying around on my hover boots, and I fell into there, and the game crashed, and I had to completely, it went to the boot shit where the system crashed itself, and I had to essentially wait for the system to repair itself. And that's been a theme with a lot of games on PS5 that have come out and launched. It's a little annoying, but it is what it is. But it's also very scary because PS5s aren't really available. So every time it happens, I'm like, holy shit, please don't break, because, how long is it going to take for me to get a repair, right? Or a replacement if like the system goes bad. The other thing that I find annoying, and you and I had both talked about this and discussed this, is that for being an arcadey style shooter in the gameplay, ammo is very sparse, and it can take away from the game sometimes. It makes it frustrating because you'll have enemies that take numerous hits, right? Or, they shed their armor as you do damage to them. And they're like early on too, you don't have to do that much in the game to see it early on, but probably a couple hours in, when you'll get to the canyon area, like I discussed, when you first kind of get your hover boots, there's a section where it's like, you might not have ammo from the last little battle that you did, and you kind of go into it and you're just like scrounging for ammo while there's a shit ton of stuff being shot at you. And it gets annoying. It definitely does. And you'll definitely die in the game for sure. I mean, it can get tough because of that reason.
I think the ammo scarcity is on purpose in order to get you to use different guns and stuff.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's times where I was running out of all ammo on all my guns.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But,
and there are certainly times like that. But, as you buy more and more guns, you get to the point where you have so many guns, it's not weapons that it's not too big of a deal. But that is an odd choice. I did see a lot of complaints about people saying that the weapons all were like okay, but I think the weapons are good.
I think they're super cool.
Yeah, and as you upgrade them, they get even better.
Yes.
I mean, they do more cool stuff. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but like each weapon, once you get it to the max level, it does something different now. It actually functions differently.
Like the blaster pistol does a tri-shot, does 3-shot.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's
there's an easy one, right?
Yeah.
But another thing I like to kind of echo what you said there. Lots and lots of glitches in this. I actually was very, very surprised at how glitchy this game was at times. I got stuck on a few pieces within the environment. I actually have died randomly while just traversing a level. Like, just fell through the fucking ground and died. I had another one where I didn't even fall through the ground. It just killed me, and I had no clue what happened. I actually got stuck on one of the last levels, and this game entirely auto-saves, so I didn't know that you could actually load an old save, because typically in games that auto-save, like, that's it. But no, you can actually go in and load past saves. So I pretty much had to replay that entire level, which kind of sucked and added like 45 minutes to it. There is, like I said, the glitches were my biggest bugs, and glitches are the biggest problem I have with this game. And it kind of sucks to see, especially it's by no means a bad game, but typically Insomniac's very polished, and I don't see a whole lot of these problems. But this one seemed like, right. But I mean, with like Miles Morales coming out last year, like I didn't have any issues with that game.
That's fair.
And it was just, it's not. I mean, it was almost game breaking if I couldn't load an old save, and that would have been a problem. But yeah, I had the exact same thing where before I had that issue, it actually popped up and said that my game save had been lost. It was corrupt. I'm like, you have got to be shitting me. Like, what do I do now? I mean, I was damn near at the end of the game. I'm like, I'm not going to play through it again. I refuse to at that point. But I don't know. That took me out of it a couple times, but
sure,
they weren't constant, but they were enough over my 20 hours I spent with this game to be concerning. And they're patching them. I mean, there's a lot of things that have been patched so far, and they're continuing to work on patches, so that's good. But yeah, it's a little off-putting when you get that sign or that alert message that comes up on your PlayStation, and
yeah, it's scary. Just, like it's no longer this shit of like, oh, it froze, I'll just shut it off. It's like, I mean, these systems have a lot of shit to them now.
Yeah.
And it's like, if this goes out, I mean, how am I going to get another one?
Yeah, I'm just going to be out of $500 console and hope for a decent repair and you know, a reasonable amount of time. But yeah, that's really my only complaint, honestly. It was just the glitches. But I mean, other than that, everything about it is just so fun, and it's beautiful to play. And there's some times where, you know, you'll absolutely get your ass kicked, but you're not really penalized for it. Like, you come back with full health, you come back with full ammo, and so in some cases, like, it was almost easier to just die real quick so you could get restocked and then come back with full ammo, because you may be out of ammo for, you know, a gun that works really well against a certain enemy. And there's not a ton of different enemy types here. I mean, for the most part, they're pretty much the same. But there's a few different ones, and, you know, there's a good challenge mode that has, you know, a little bit of difficulty to it, but not too bad. And as you upgrade weapons, and which you can get, you know, things to upgrade your weapons from this various different challenge modes and arena battles and stuff, and then they become easier. I mean, I could do I actually was grinding out the last boss in order to level up all of my guns to level 5 before, or in the arena, not the final boss, but the arena final boss, or boss battle, I guess. In order to be able to upgrade all my weapons to level 5 before I went and fought the final boss of the game. And it was cool. I mean, it became super easy at a certain point, and I had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, it's overall. I mean, I really, really, really love this game, and as far as a rating scale to me, this is certainly a buy. I mean, if you're even remotely interested in it, go buy it. I mean, obviously, this isn't necessarily a game for every single person because, if you just buy the Madden and the COD every year, this probably isn't going to be for you. But
we were discussing that. I mean, I think we had a conversation where it's like, if you've never played Ratchet and Clank, that's okay. That's totally fine.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
At the same time, this game is going to be such a fantastic introduction for new people to get into this series.
Yeah.
That the series has had... It's always had the great humor. It's always had the great gameplay itself, but it's never had the graphics like this. And for it to have this is just, phenomenal. And I think it's a great showcase of what can be done. And like you said, to get away from those, mainstay things like a COD or a Madden, right? I think it's going to open up itself to a lot of new players, which is great. The one question I have before I give my rating on it is, or kind of my findings, and see if you have kind of the same thoughts. I didn't think the Rift mechanic was used as much.
No, it was a little gimmicky.
It's a little gimmicky.
It's used more in the story than it is actually like in gameplay.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because it's like you'll play a level and it's like you can get there by using the Rift, but it might be safer just walking there.
Right.
To an enemy in some cases. Sometimes
I never used it in combat. I
used it a couple times in combat, but nothing crazy.
I pretty much did it for traversing the level to get to like the golden bolts and stuff like that. Like that's really all I used it for. It did feel weird, and I actually was near the end of the game when I was talking to you, and I was like, man, I don't know how to get past this part because it popped up on the screen, but I didn't read it. But it was something that you hadn't used since like the beginning of the game. It was an ability that you have that you just don't use. I mean, I don't think it's really throwing too much or giving away too much here, but it's literally you can throw your hammer or your wrench. And I was like, how do I press this button? I'm like jumping on it, and you literally just throw your hammer or wrench in order to hit it. I'm like, good God, I haven't.
You don't use that
this entire time.
Tutorial,
it's like, yeah. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I can be like Lombax's fucking Thor over here, but like, okay.
Oh man, yeah. I would. So for my score on this, I would definitely give it a must buy. Absolutely, if you got a PlayStation 5, you got to get this thing. It's a great showcase of what's to come for the future and beyond. Because again, remember, a lot of stuff with these consoles are still locked up and not figured out yet. So I can't even imagine what the Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to look like. My God.
Yeah. 5 years down the road, looking back at this and being like, man, that game looked bad, but like now it's just. It's incredible. One of the nicest looking games we've probably ever seen, right?
Yeah, great gameplay. Probably one of the first games in a while that I felt like I was actually down into the story, and I felt like I was playing, not a video game, but an animated film that happened to be a video game, which is just awesome. I love animated films, and it's just great to see that like the technology is there to have the proper transition to it, because like you play stuff that was based on an animated film or something back on like the other systems, and it didn't look like it, right? Like it had that weird like, oh, the character looks a little different. It's like, yeah, well, that's because they can't add the amount of detail that there is in the animated film. That's gone now. So had a blast with this, love it. Go pick it up. I think most of the bugs are gone now by this time, but yeah, it's an absolute must buy. With that, we'll probably wrap the show up because this is a long one. Good lordy.
Yeah.
If you guys want to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Diggity Podcast, you can follow me also. I'm at Jeff James, or just search me up on Twitter, Jeff James. Yeah, I mean, subscribe to us on YouTube, also on Twitch. Go live every Thursday evening, and podcast is up every Friday morning. So hit us up there. Brody, do you have... Oh, I guess, sorry, Good Lord, my PSN is Maple Jeff. You can find me on PlayStation Network. Maple Jeff, Brody.
And mine is Luscious Brody. You can also find me on Xbox, also at Luscious Brody.
Sweet. And with that, guys, thanks so much for listening. Again, you can listen to our podcast on every single major podcast platform. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Much appreciated. And please leave your comments in the YouTube comment section below. See you guys later. See ya.